It's Ryan again. I'm reviewing, as you can see from the title, obviously, if you clicked on this, Batman vs. Superman, the extended cut, whatever that's called. I think it's Ultimate Edition or whatever you want to say. It's 3 fucking hours. 3 hours. I honestly, this is the first time I've seen the longer cut, and it is ass-numbingly long. I watched it 2 times just for, like, I watched it once and when I was taking notes I watched it again, and I had to pause like a million times because I was so just bored. And I have no problem sitting through like a TV show for like 3 hours, 4 hours, like binging that, but there's at least stops in between, you know. But a movie that is 3 hours long is just so overly so overly long. And so I'm gonna talk about how I would make a how I would make a Batman movie and a Batman vs Superman movie at the end of this. So stay tuned. But so I'm gonna go through them as I do through the movie in chronological order, stopping for characters and whatever. And so this movie starts out in a well-tread, a well-tread, a well-tread point of Batman's history. The Wayne's death and funeral and all that. And I usually dislike that, and I do this time, but there was some glimmers of hope. Like, I liked the shout out to Mark of Zorro, or is it Mask of Zorro? Whatever. But I like that shout out. It was fun pointing at, like, oh yeah, that's Batman's original, what he went to the night his parents were killed. That's interesting. But the death scene is way over dramatic, and I think there's like dramatic license to be that way. It has to be dramatic, but this time it was super over dramatic. He puts the gun in the necklace, and it, like, I have no problem with the death being dramatic. Like, is this is this Bruce Wayne? Like, is this what really happened, or is this like a figment of a 12-year-old Bruce Wayne's mind and going, yeah, that's how it happened, not a lone gunman, coward, mugger. Like, his gun went off and he killed them. Like, no, it had to be up close and personal. It had to be, yeah, my dad tried to fight him off. It had to be all these things. That'd be interesting kind of take on it. Is like, no, it was an accident. It was nothing. Like, it's not dramatic or anything. It was just a killing that happened. That'd be interesting, but I don't think that's what they were going for. I think what they were going for was an overly dramatic, death scene. And here comes our, I guess it's a MacGuffin. I don't know what you classify this as. Is it a MacGuffin? When Thomas Wayne says Martha. Now that comes back later in the movie, but I'll talk about that later because, and that's the infamous, much memed, climax or whatever you want to call it. And then we get flashback to Man of Steel, the whole city destruction thing, which is an interesting take, showing a more street level view of the carnage and the destruction and the human toll it has. When we're with Superman during that fight, we don't get that human view. We get, two gods clashing. We don't get two gods clashing, and over here is the mortals doing their stuff. We don't get that, and it's interesting to see that. Here's a nitpick, and this is again something that's been said a lot. Why are people still in buildings? Like, the second like an alien spaceship shows up, I'm out of there. I'm out. I'm out of work. I honestly, like, nope, you're not keeping me in the office today. Aliens, I don't know. And then see, this movie is just kind of scenes strung together, and if that's why I sound erratic doing this, is there's not really any bridging. There's not really a flow. It's not cohesive. It's, oh, this is a scene, this is a scene, this is a scene, this is a scene. picked from all over the place, and so you never get a cohesive. There's no glue holding it together. There's only loose pages of I like Dark Knight Returns, so grab some pages from that. Oh, I like this, so keep grabbing pages, without any of the context to hold it together. And I'm gonna be talking about Dark Knight Returns a lot in this review, probably in the later parts, where it's more relevant. But okay, so moving on, we see a hunk of kryptonite in the Indian Ocean, and that's again doing a good job of building on the last film in an interesting way. Oh, there are effects to the alien battle. The kind of plot points are all spurred on by that battle at the end of the last movie. And so Lex is convoluted plot kind of hinges on the kryptonite and all these things. So Lois and Jimmy Olsen, who's not really Jimmy Olsen, I guess. He's a CIA agent posing as Jimmy Olsen to get close to this terrorist general who, whatever. And they waste him. They waste a lot of characters here. They kind of go, okay, so Lex Luthor, skipping ahead, Lex Luthor knows Superman is in a relationship with Lois Lane. So he lures Lois Lane to this terrorist hideout. He hires mercenaries in the form of KG Beast, who they don't call KG Beast, of course, because I don't know, I don't know. But they lure her there so Superman will come and do everything. But here's where it starts to get weak. Okay? So Superman in this universe is a killer. He has been shown to kill in the last movie. And later in this scene, he does kill the terrorist general. And don't tell me, oh, that guy didn't die. He died. He blasted through a wall with him. That guy is dead. Don't tell me any other way. But KG Beast and all his mercenary guys kill the terrorists and whatever, and they burn their bodies. Okay. Why is this necessary? Because I can guarantee this Superman would fucking kill them too. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but this Superman did kill someone. So he is very much in that way. He did intervene in this international thing. He did kill this terrorist general. He did do all these things. So it kind of rings hollow and goes, yeah, Lex Luthor is kind of right. The government is kind of right. Superman is interfering in things, and is that his right? That is a genuinely interesting question that gets swept under the rug because, oh, Superman didn't do what we thought he did, but he did something else. He still did kill a guy. He still did do all these things. And, like, Zod, I can kind of get my head around him murdering, but killing this terrorist guy, not so much. Like, it just doesn't make much sense. And then there's the Senate subplot, which is kind of connected to Lex's plan. It is. We get the senator who doesn't really amount to anything. We get, I don't know. It's nonsense. It's a boring subplot that goes nowhere. So then we get Batman. And Batman is really the highlight of this film. He is channeling, in my opinion, Frank Miller's Batman. He gets it to a T. He is kind of, and that's kind of a backhanded compliment. Oh, he channels Frank Miller's Batman, but Frank Miller's Batman's kind of crazy. If you've read Aspar, you know what I mean. If you don't know what that means, All-Star Batman and Robin. And I recommend it because it's so fucking crazy, but he kind of is crazy in that series, and he channels that here. Some of his, like, he rants about, oh, if there's only a 1% chance that he might turn against us, we have to take it as an absolute certainty. And that doesn't make much, like, that logically is a leap. Like, if there's a 1% chance, then we gotta take it as, like, what are you saying here? Like, are you telling your Robin to eat rats and stuff? Like, but in other ways, he is acted to, in my opinion, perfection. He is what I want as a Batman, minus the kind of shitty writing. He channels the character in such a way that Bale didn't. And this is not a slight against Bale. He was just playing a very different Batman. Despite he was playing like a more grounded Batman, I guess you could say. He's not Batman so much as I would say he's Bruce Wayne pretending to be Batman. Like, and this Batman feels like Batman. He feels like he goes out there because he's Batman, not because, any reason. He's just Batman. And so okay. So this Batman kills people. And to an extent, I'm fine with this. And okay. So Batman doesn't kill, in the comics at least, to my interpretation, is because he thinks that if he steps over the line to kill, he will forever do that. If he kills the Joker, then he will do it as not even a last resort. He'll do it because it's easy. He feels that that's what will happen. And it'd be interesting to go, yeah, he did kill the Joker in this continuity. That's why he's like that. We're not getting a Joker right after Heath Ledger. No, Joker's dead. That'd be interesting, but they don't do that. They kind of dip their toe into that water and go, yeah, this Batman's broken. He is just a broken husk of a man. Why, they take baby steps, but then they don't go all the way. And so, he brands people, and that is super, dark, and it's actually pretty cool. It kind of rings back to me to the Phantom. I think it's the Phantom. He brands people with skulls. Just an interesting kind of where my mind went when I saw that, but so Cavill, again, skipping around, I need to get better at doing notes. I'll try better next time. But one thing I immediately noticed when Henry Cavill started talking was his accent. And this didn't bother me in Man of Steel so much, but it did here. His kind of Midwestern accent, and minus the inflection and kind of the mostly the inflection, he does an okay job of approximating a Midwestern accent. And being someone from the Midwest, I could say, you're just a weirdo. You're talking weird for some reason. And I talk weird for some reason. But it was distracting. And I think, had you gotten an American actor to do that, I wouldn't have that complaint with his. If he was born and bred American from Iowa, I wouldn't have a problem with his acting so much. It's just distracting, as much as anything. So Lex Luthor. This is where we meet Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is a millennial, and I don't say that as oh damn millennials. I'm a millennial, but millennial. Lex is aggressively millennial. Think Google. I don't know if this is a real kind of approximation of what Google is as a workplace, but this is in my mind there's nap areas and there's a basketball court. That seems new age, not new age, but very kind of new 2000s kind of 2010s. It seems very it doesn't seem like a old school businessman's kind of area. It seems like a millennials, and it very much just bothered me because that's not the portrayal of Lex Luthor I want. I think it may have been able to work with a different actor than Jesse Eisenberg, but with him, he just played up. He overacted too much of it to an extent. He did that kind of thing. He played Jim Carrey as the Riddler. He overacted to a T in a very bad way. When you're trying to be serious and this character pops up, I don't take you seriously. I immediately am broken out because what's going on? like okayed that kind of acting. And this movie is just a bunch of kind of like plot points that don't go anywhere or that don't really make sense. Why does Perry give Clark sports? Like, I don't know how reporters work normally. I'm not in that sector. I haven't been, I haven't dealt with that much stuff in reporting. So, do reporters just get given sports? Isn't there a dedicated sports guy or guys in most cases, like for a big newspaper? Like, why not just have Perry assign Clark to find out about the Batman? Like, then you could cut out all the bullshit about, oh, this is the spread. Like, it makes no fucking difference. It makes no difference, and it adds nothing to the film. And it should have just been cut, but whatever. We get a little, and again, I'm not doing a very good job here, but we get a little about Lex Luthor's motivation. That demons don't come from underground; they come from the sky or whatever, and that is interesting. That could have been delivered by another character. I can feel that kind of alludes to parademons, which we see later in the film in the Nightmare, and that'd be interesting if his end goal was to stop the New Gods' invasion of Earth or whatever, but it's to stop Superman or aliens in general or what? Like, does he thinks Superman's a demon or whatever, but what? Like, it makes very little sense to me. And then Bruce and Clark get invited to Lex Luthor's gala, whatever. Lex Luthor in this scene demonstrates fully why I dislike this version of the character. It's not Lex Luthor being cool and calm and collected and shoveling bullshit in your face just to, because he's a charming guy, but he's also an asshole. No, this is a madman ranting about power and without strength is paradoxical. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to get, I don't know. Like, it just seems way out of character for any Lex, but and we get our first Wonder Woman appearance, which I am not a huge fan of Gal Gadot. Is it that how it's pronounced? Gadot? I don't know. However it's pronounced. I'm not a huge fan of her as Wonder Woman. And her performance in Wonder Woman did win me over, but here she's kind of a non-entity, and I think that's mostly by design rather than any actual failure on her part. Like, I'm sure she can be a fine actress, given the right director. Like Patty Jenkins. Patty Jenkins did a fine job. I'll get to Wonder Woman at some point. But she really doesn't do much in this film. She's only here as basically a trailer for her movie. And same with Flash and Cyborg and Aquaman. Like, they don't really have any actual purpose to be here except to set up their movies. Especially Flash, who gets a little more. But whatever. So then we get the nightmare sequence, which I just mentioned. So the nightmare sequence is actually a really, really cool sequence, in my opinion. Like, had this been in a bubble and going, yeah, we're going to put out Elseworld shorts. Like, we're going to put out, like, weird Elseworlds, little movies about, like, different Elseworlds, and we're going to show you parts of the multiverse and whatever, and we're going to show you a Batman who's even more rundown than, like, the main universe Batman that we're showing. And this is a future where, Darkseid has invaded, and, this Batman uses guns because he's dark, and there's no point to life. And I kind of wish we had just gotten a movie about that. Like, full-on apocalypse scenario Batman. That'd be cool. But in the story, I don't know what this affects. Like, does Batman remember that does Batman know that this is a premonition and not just his subconscious? Or, what? Like, did Flash coming out of nowhere and kind of channeling Crisis on Infinite Earths that, like, oh, you gotta save Lois or whatever, like, does he remember any of that? Like, I don't know. Um, and then we get a cool scene. Again, like, I have no problem calling out, like, cool scenes when I see them. The Batman chase scene to get the kryptonite. That, interesting. It's interesting. Um, and then Superman comes out of nowhere and is like, turn on, go to your signal again, and I'll make sure you stop or whatever. Like, I don't know why this Superman dislikes Batman. Like, I get it, but like, it's so contrived. Like, a Superman who kills people and a Batman who kills people don't really have a necessary kind of friction to go, oh no, that's why they don't like each other. They, because of what? They're broody assholes. And this has been said 1,000 times about this film. They're too broody. They're all just assholes. Even Wonder Woman in this film is just a broody asshole. Not to the extent of Superman and Batman, but she kind of has no, passion, it seems. And then Superman goes to the Capitol. It gets blown up. Now, I don't know necessarily what this is supposed to mean. Like, why do the news go, oh, Superman didn't stop it? Like, I get you can go, why didn't Superman go to stop it? Like, what is going on that Superman couldn't have stopped it? But, like, I go, no, like, of course Superman couldn't stop it. Like, he could try and prevent, like, damage control. Like, he could do that. But he's not, like, even at his most powerful, like, I could go, oh, there's an explosion happening. What am I going to do? Like, I'm going to pick up, I don't know how explosions work in physics, but pick up the explosive and fly it away while it's exploding. I don't think that would work. And so, it's mostly a scene of, well, like, you could say, like, Lex Luthor paid off the reporters or whatever, but I doubt it. Or maybe he did. He paid off a guy to stab another guy. Like, honestly, like, if we're supposed to believe that the bat symbol, or the bat brand, is, like, seen as, like, basically, oh, this guy is a bad guy, kill him, then why demonstrate that Lex Luthor needs to pay a guy to kill a guy? Like, it doesn't make much sense to me if you're going to demonstrate that in universe. But, and then we get our trailers for another movie, whatever. And so Lex Luthor is creating a Doomsday. That's what it's Doomsday, but it's not really Doomsday from the comics, not to my opinion. And some people may say, well, Doomsday is a big, gray, mindless monster, so, this is a good approximation as any. But in my opinion, that's not so. In my opinion, Doomsday is a walking plot device to kill Superman, but in context, well, I guess he's Doomsday. I don't know. Like, I guess he's Doomsday. But, and then we have our Batman vs. Superman scenes. And I'm not going to really talk much about this action because it's just kind of a ripoff of Dark Knight Returns. And I love Dark Knight Returns. But it seems like Zack Snyder kind of took the Superman pages out of Dark Knight Returns and tore them out and brought them here. And that is the weakest part of that book. Eventually, if I review that book, I'm going to carry the same opinion. The weakest parts of Dark Knight Returns, in my opinion, are the Superman vs. Batman parts. Because Superman is written such out of character in that book, just like here, that Batman, and that it just doesn't feel very satisfying. And I've always been of the opinion that Batman can't beat Superman. Like, it's never going to be a thing. Like, in my opinion, Superman will, if he wanted to, kill Batman. Like, if he was truly wanted to kill Batman, he would. But he doesn't, because that's not who Superman is. Superman is a kind soul, essentially. And so we get to the infamous part of the reason Batman doesn't kill Superman is because Superman's mom's name is Martha. Like, it's a super ridiculous scene that has no real place in anything. Like, yeah, it's just normtastic. And then we get the Doomsday fight, whole thing. I skipped over something. Batman saving Martha Kent. is, again, another scene that is you're just fantastic. It is Batman being comic book Batman, but he kills, and I'm fine. Again, I'm fine with that in this movie. He kills someone, he bashes heads in. He fights dirty, and that is super. It's super exciting scene because it hits all the right beats in my opinion. And then he kind of again he channels Dark Knight Returns in that is it KG Beast? I think it is in that scene, but he goes, "Oh, I'll kill her," and Batman goes, "I believe you," and shoots his tank, and then that's a super great scene. And then Doomsday fight, Clark dies, and again, nothing happens in the last half except just a huge chunk of boss battles. There's nothing really there. Batman going to Lex Luthor to get him transferred to Arkham. Again, interesting because this Lex Luthor is crazy, and again, something I wish we kind of got more of is Batman being Batman. Like, I don't think he snuck into the jail, but like being in the jail and going, yeah, no one's gonna touch me. Like, I'm the goddamn Batman. And so overall, this movie it's kind of joyless, honestly. I skipped over a lot in the last half because, in my opinion, there's nothing really to go on there. There's no actual weight or purpose or anything. And honestly, this is one of my I don't. It's one of the movies I am so very kind of divided on. On one hand, it's pretty fun. On the other hand, it's confusing and nonsensical. And like honestly, like I'm sure there is like a supercut of all the Batman scenes. I'd rather like if you haven't seen the movie and you don't care about it, just watch the Batman scenes. I'm serious. Just watch the Batman scenes because that is going to be way more enjoyable and way shorter than watching this entire movie. I wish in a different universe, Zack Snyder had been paid to, direct a straight Batman movie. Like, instead of going for Man of Steel, you could just go, yeah, we're going to start a cinematic universe, but we're going to start with Batman again. We're going to do a different version of Batman, and we're going to start with Batman again, heightened reality, clearly a superhero movie, and have Zack Snyder direct it. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. I would have fucking loved it. But mixed in with Superman, it just gets so goddamn muddled. Excuse me? Well, I get a drink because I'm parched. But, so, we get on to my pitches of a Batman movie and a Batman vs. Superman movie. And, again, these are kind of rough outlines of what I would want done, but I would try and make a Batman movie more noir detective story. And so keep that in mind while I go through it. So we start out, and again, I'm taking pages of different things. I'm kind of ripping pages out of Dark Knight Returns, and I know I just criticized Zack Snyder for doing that, but I'm going to take pages out of Dark Knight Returns and some other things and go, yeah, this is what I would want for a Batman movie. And if you haven't seen my Man of Steel review, I did the same thing with that. Like, I did a kind of rewrite of that, and so that's probably what I would have on the tail end of that. Like, okay, that's my version of Man of Steel. Now here's my Batman and Batman vs. Superman. So we open with Batman underwater, his eyes closed, and we get narration. A good death, but not good enough. And he opens his eyes, swims to the surface, and there's a 7-foot tall crocodile man terrorizing the streets of Gotham. There's a fight scene between him and Killer Croc, and then Tim Drake Robin comes in, and we get the interplay between them in that. So Batman doesn't want another Robin, and so we get that, Jason Todd, previous Robin, has died. We get that. So we get why this Batman doesn't want a partner. And again, in my backstory of this Batman, I probably should have started with the kind of exposition here, but Batman is no longer Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is, for all intents and purposes, alive, but he never goes out as Bruce Wayne. He is living full-time in the Batcave as Batman. He doesn't do anything else. Like, he is just basically going through the motions, waiting to die. He's looking for a good death. And I'm kind of riffing off of Dark Knight Returns, in that Dark Knight Returns serves as a deconstruction of what Batman is, to a large part. So I would want to kind of again, kind of deconstruct in the opposite direction. Whereas at the beginning of Dark Knight Returns, Batman or Bruce Wayne is a miserable drunk looking for a good death, and he becomes Batman again, and he finds purpose in that. I'd kind of do the opposite direction. Is he's a miserable Batman who doesn't do anything else besides be Batman, and he's miserable and he has no purpose. He's waiting to die. So that's kind of my Batman. He also killed the Joker because there was no Superman to stop him. He also crossed the line, and so this is a Batman who's not adverse necessarily to killing. Maybe we don't see him kill on screen in this movie, but we get that subtext. So, no, if it comes down to it, this Batman's going to kill. So he's fighting Killer Croc, Robin helps him, and then he says, no, like, Tim, go home. I don't want your help. You're not Robin. You are just going to get yourself killed. Like, he does it in the dickishest way possible. I would think, oh, this is, Frank Miller's Batman. Like, he's a dick, and he's mean, and he's all these things. But I would do that for a reason. Like, I do it as a deconstruction of the Batman character and go, no, that's not Batman. Batman is, in a large part, to me at least, has, like, a quiet kindness to him. He has a heart of gold. Like, he has a special place in his heart for children, And so, like, I'd kind of pepper that through and go, no, maybe people would like that Batman, but I'd go, no, that's not who I want as Batman. And so, kind of going through it and going, no, he's cruel and he's mean and he's waiting for death. And then we get narration of, 72 hours ago, Waylon Jones was just a normal guy. Like, whatever happened to him to turn him into a giant crocodile man happened, not that long ago. So I gotta find out what it is, because I can't risk more people turning into it after, like, name drop another villain that is maybe tied to Batman that has metahuman powers or whatever. Maybe, like, Pamela Isley, like Poison Ivy. Like, you can name drop that. I wouldn't have her in the film, but, like, you can name drop her and say, what is causing people to spontaneously develop metahuman powers? And so whatever. And so Batman's kind of prowling through the streets, trying to do his detective stuff. Again, this is rough. And Tim's kind of tagging along the way, secretly, and I'd have Oracle be his mission control rather than Alfred, because I like Oracle. Again, I'll have to do a video on this or something. I don't know. But I've never liked Barbara Gordon as Batgirl. I've always preferred her as Oracle. And so I definitely have her be Oracle, even if she's not crippled or anything, but I definitely have her be Oracle. So, you can have her be, kind of his pulling back to Bruce Wayne. Like, she is his only supporter left. Like, Dick has gone on and he has formed a team of his own, like the Teen Titans or what, And so he's formed his own group. He's, he doesn't talk to Bruce anymore because he can't stand to be around Bruce or whatever. And so, again, cutting another thing out of Bruce's life, his son. And, but, again, later in the movie, whatever, detective work, he fights probably Clayface, Basil Karlo. He fights Clayface, and again, the big thing is, the villains of this movie is not a Batman villain, but Intergang, Bruno Mannheim. Like, I'd have it be, Intergang is using alien technology to trigger metahuman transformations, and have that be the thing he needs to stop. And at the end of the day, him and Tim, shut down whatever Intergang hideout there is. Bruno Mannheim gets arrested, and Bruce kind of gets a little of his soul back. Like and I'd have the kind of ending be, oh, he reunites Killer Croc with his family. Like he's still Killer Crocified, but you kind of, I'd kind of make Killer Croc a little less of a brute, but be like, yeah, no, like Batman couldn't have done this. He couldn't have reunited a kid with her father, even though the father is mutated or whatever. Only Bruce Wayne could do that. Only Bruce Wayne had the actual connections to be able to do something good that wasn't just waiting to die. And also have, him give Tim a actual Robin costume, and have, and at the end of the movie, I'd have probably Bruno Mannheim being released from the Gotham jailhouse or whatever, and he like walks out, and Batman pays him a visit and goes, like, no matter what you do, I'll be watching you, and then slinks away in the darkness and whatever. And the reason I wanted to use Intergang and Bruno Mannheim is I wanted to set up for New Gods, and I think this movie, the Batman vs Superman, did a terrible job of setting up for New Gods, and New Gods are one of my favorite fixtures in the DC universe, but only when written by basically Jack Kirby. If you haven't read the original run of New Gods and Mr. Miracle, I can't recommend them enough, but definitely set up for New Gods. I wouldn't have, again, Justice League far off, but I wouldn't, and I'd have that. And then the ending narration would be, the last line spoken in narration would be, a good life, good enough. Like he'd be, and again, citing from Dark Knight Returns, is that Bruce Wayne, Batman, has found a new lease in life being Batman, teaching others. Instead, mine would kind of be, he's found a new lease on life because he's willing to accept help. He's willing to go back to being at least partially Bruce Wayne. He's gotten back his kindness, his empathy back after all, however many years of just being Batman. And, I think that'd be a fun kind of ending to the movie. And then you have an after credits scene, and this is where I would have the Flash. I would have him do the Crisis on Infinite Earth things where he, appears to Bruce and he's like, you gotta help me, blah, blah, blah. You gotta stop whatever. And then he fades away. And in my version, I would have Barry Allen be played by probably Matt Damon, because I would want to keep Ben Affleck as Batman, because I love him as Batman. So I'd probably, again, do Matt Damon as Barry Allen. And if a Flash movie ever comes out, I'll do a more in-depth pitch of what I would do for a Flash movie, but I would definitely have Wally West be the main Flash as in my DCEU, because you have, again, a kind of shitty version of Barry Allen in the CW Flash, so I would want to kind of differentiate between the cinematic and the, and the CW. So I definitely have like a full red-headed Wally West in all capacities, and whatever. And so that'd be the end of my Batman movie. Roll credits and then end scene. So my Batman vs Superman movie would not be titled Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice. Instead, it would be Batman vs Superman: Trinity. And again, it should have been called that, I think, because if you don't know, the Trinity is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. And I would definitely make it so Wonder Woman played more of a part in my version. Again, so kind of my version doesn't play very well with Superman. Like, Superman doesn't do a lot because Superman's kind of the villain. And I say that as being, Superman's being mind controlled throughout the movie. Like, Superman is being mind controlled, and so Superman, like, whatever, he kills someone, or, has a huge demonstration of his power, and so Batman and Wonder Woman have to find out why this guy just started flipping out. And so it's a whole thing. And then, at the climax is Batman and Wonder Woman being prepared to fight Superman. And then Batman, during the fight, figures out, oh, Superman is being mind controlled. That's why he's acting so erratic. That's why all these things. And again, like you'd have to, I'm telling this weird, but I'd have the actual villain be Maxwell Lord. And if you don't know Maxwell Lord, he was a member or kind of the leader, I guess, of Justice League International, I believe. Again, I love. He's a character. Is super interesting. He's I'd say a self-hating metahuman. He has like mind control powers, but he also hates metahumans. And so I'd kind of have that be his motivation. He's a rich guy who's working for the government who also wants to destroy metahumans. And you say, well, isn't that kind of Lex Luthor? And yeah, but I think Maxwell Lord is a super interesting character anyway. And so Batman, is like, ask Wonder Woman, like, how long can you hold off Superman? And Wonder Woman says, like, 20 minutes. And so Batman says, okay, well, so I have 20 minutes to, find, this guy so I can stop him before, before you have to kill Superman or whatever, or die. And so, that's the climax, is Wonder Woman's fighting Superman, Batman's racing to find Maxwell Lord. And so the end is, again, Wonder Woman's fighting, and Batman gets to Maxwell Lord's, office. And, Maxwell Lord can monologue and be like, no, you and I are the same. We both, distrust them. We both distrust metahumans and aliens. And I'm doing this for the greater good. I'm doing this to show the greater public that they aren't good. And, Batman, do Batman speeches, whatever. And, Maxwell Lord tries to, control Batman too, because he sees Batman's not buying it. And, you can show, heroic resolve in Batman. Both Maxwell Lord's and Batman's noses start bleeding. And you go, oh, so Batman can, resist that. That's super cool. And again, I don't think this falls under, bad god stuff, because I could see Batman doing that. I could see Batman fighting off mind control. I can't see him, punching out Superman, but I can see him do that. And so, Batman, fights off the mind control, fights Maxwell Lord a little bit, and you can have intercut Wonder Woman fighting fighting Superman, and then for a little bit Superman's mind control breaks, and he goes what the hell am I doing here? And Maxwell Lord can go, and Batman it seems like Batman's got the upper hand and beaten Maxwell Lord, and Maxwell Lord's like, okay, no, Bruce, the only way this is going to end is if you kill me. And Batman goes, I believe you, and kills it. And again, this is kind of playing off of when Wonder Woman killed Maxwell Lord. I definitely do. Again, I kind of like to twist those things and go, yeah, look, oh, this Batman kills. Of course he kills. So he has no problem killing Maxwell Lord. Maybe he has a problem, but he's going to do it. This is a Batman who follows through. And so at the end you have a coda and go Superman kind of feels bad. He's maybe we do maybe we need more of a group of people who can stand up to someone like me, someone who can get mind controlled on occasion, and have that be kind of the impetus to form a Justice League. Have that be kind of your lead up to Justice League as a Trinity movie. And I didn't flesh out my version of Batman vs Superman much, but I think it would have been better. Just giving Wonder Woman equal time before her own movie, I think. But tell me what you think if you watch this. Tell me what you think about my pitch. If you think it would have been better, worse, or what have you, I would like to know. So have a good day.